So I'm going to ask if there are any questions. Put up your hand if you do have a question. Thank you. I'm going to come over, and don't ask the question until I give you the microphone, because nobody will be able to hear you, including the video recording here. Okay?
And please
so we have a
feel free,
question.
if you have a comment, you have something to contribute. This group is small enough, this can be a round table, you know, a talking circle kind of a situation. So I don't think you have to limit it to a question at this
All right.
stage.
I do think that we have a rather phenomenal two people. And by the way, I must say that Bill Wesson, who was unable to come tonight, we miss him. He's apparently quite ill. And bless him, we just wish him healing and that he recovers fully.
He so wanted to be here because he so supports what we're doing. And he has so much to give from his heart and his knowing.
And what he was going to talk on was the courage it takes to stand up for justice, to actually show up in court. So I'm standing here and I'm standing up in court, and I've been standing up in front of these judges. So I know what I just know what he's been through. It's extraordinarily difficult as a non-lawyer to go to these courts in front of these professionals. I find myself, facing the highest paid attorneys in history, whose field of expertise is this field, at which I'm a baby. And it takes some courage. So, question.
Well, first I just want to say thank you to all of you, this elegant panel. First to Connie for your brilliant idea that in order for this to shift and change, that we have an opportunity to really come together in a different amplitude and stratosphere of working together. And it's up to those of us who know that to go forward with our torch bearing, like you mentioned, that would bring terror to the grandmothers and hope and promise to our daughters and our granddaughters and grandsons. And so I just have so much gratitude for you for having the courage to bring this group together and for holding that space for that idea and for that possibility. So thank you for that. And Stephen, my father was a practicing attorney advocating for people's rights until the last breath he drew at age 91. And so I just recently saw again the movie Erin Brockovich, and I just am reminded of, again, that tenacity and will and courage and just sheer guts to go out and just continue to forge and do these things to advocate for those who can't really advocate for themselves. And so I just have a deep appreciation from many levels for this work that you do. And I have a background in social work, so I have a tremendous feeling of empathy for people who have trouble in that advocacy. So thank you for your, not only for your heart and for building that trust, but for also your the study that Tara talks about, the concentration that it takes, and all the ways in which you have to be tenacious about learning. And so I just want to thank you so much for that. And Tara, I just love you from the bottom of my heart, and I have so much gratitude for your courage and tenacity, because I've been with you side by side, though you've taken leadership and have gone way above and beyond. And I've been there hopefully to support you all along. But I wanted to say one thing about this build it and they will come thing. Tara makes it sound easy about the Aspen Institute and all the rest of it, but it wasn't really easy. And it required a lot of tenacity and a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls and a lot of courage and, just a lot of grit and guts. And finally, when we got this gathering pulled off and we had this wonderful collection of speakers, Geshe Lobsang Tenzin Nagy and Father Thomas Keating and Anandagiri, a Hindu, a Buddhist, and a Christian, coming together to lead this forum together with all these business leaders. Todd Breifogel, who was somewhat resistant in the beginning, who is the program, he does all of the programs at the Aspen Institute, who Tara approached, he said, you know, what I finally realized is that we better build it because they're coming. So that's just what it takes, is the collection of strengths and gifts of all of those of us who have the heart and the trust to go forward, to combine those and just to, you know, to really forge ahead. So I love you and I thank you for your tremendous wisdom and all the study that you do together with your heart to bring this to the fore. And I'm so honored to be a part of it with you. And
I have to add something. The reason I was the leader on this is because Luann was publishing a book. She wrote a book called Happily Ever After right now that's for sale at the Explorer, that is phenomenal to read because it actually really mirrors a lot of what's going on in relationships. And so I commend you because that takes a lot of courage too, to really put yourself out there and talk about the shifts in consciousness through a lot of our relationships, and to be transparent about our pain and our suffering and tell people about that and show that, you know, we're all vulnerable and that's our greatest strength. So I have to say thank you to you.
And Andrew, I just want to thank you for, and Connie for offering the medium of film and for giving you know, a broader context to this message, because, you know, I'm a social worker and a heartful person, and you know, whenever people talk about mortgages and banking and all these, you know, sort of complex issues, I tend to get really resistant. So I'm very thankful for this night and for the opportunity to explore these issues in greater depth in ways that I can understand it. So thank you for coordinating this evening and for all of your brilliance. I'm just so grateful.
Thank you so much. That was just the blessing on top of the blessing. So, Kenny, thank you for your blessing. Luann, thank you for your blessing. That really was. Yeah, let me talk a little bit about the film. The film is, any more people who'd like to say something? Okay. Yes.
Take the.
What?
He wants to say something. You're going to take.
I will. Yeah, let me say something and then I'll get to you. And I have a suggestion. I'm going to ask you to come up because I'm sorry, but Luann, we got the back of your head on the camera there, so you may as well just come up and do it from, you know, be seen if you'd like. I just want to say that the film is it's a challenge. Anybody seen Inside Job? And is there anybody here who has not yet seen Inside Job? This is a serious problem, folks. Now, what Inside Job does, it is a really brilliant, just, oh God, an infuriating analysis, expose of what actually happened on Wall Street. So that job's already been done. Inside Job, that job has been done. Michael Moore's, what's the name of his film, Connie? The Capitalism, a Love Story, dealt with it to some fair degree. And the other one that you like so much, The Company Men.
Oh, The Company Men.
The Company Men. So there are some major films that are dealing very well with this subject from the perspective of the overview of what happened on Wall Street, the bailouts, the criminal activities, the fraud, and so on, and sort of leaves you with this question of what do we do now? Some things are worth fighting for, and now there's this battle. The way I personally see Cops and Robbers versus the People is from the perspective of the people. So the cops, of course, are the courts and the judges and so on, and the robbers are the famous robber barons, you know, who have been with us for a long time, you know, J.P. Morgan and so on, who were the famous robber barons, Andrew Carnegie and so on. These guys were notorious in their day, and now they're heroes, interestingly. But this film is from, we actually call it a film of the people, by the people, for the people. We want to look at at it from the perspective of the actual folks losing their homes, how it's influencing and affecting real people who are really being hurt by this. Not just looking at the rich fraudsters out there, but looking at people who are truly suffering.
And the people that are standing up and pushing back and succeeding, those guys.
Right. And not to give the impression that this is a depressing movie, that some of those, a relatively small percentage of those people, because most foreclosures are not even opposed. People just leave the keys on the counter, they clean up the house, and they pack up and they leave. And they leave behind them the $200,000 they put down, and all the work and all the renovations and all the plantings and all the love they put into the place. So there's that. And then there are the heroes. As if I don't know how many people actually saw the little trailer there, but you saw the very brief, quick little MTV sort of thing of these individuals who you just got to see who they are. You don't really know much about them. But these nationwide are the people who are really, really showing up now. So on the one hand, you have the homeowners who are standing up and saying, wait a minute, there's something wrong here, which includes us. We simply, I go to court, and I'm just not standing down until I personally am clear that I am in the wrong. Once the bank proves that they are in the right, I have no problem with that. But until they do, I have a problem. And so far, the judge hasn't quite thrown me out yet. So there are courageous homeowners who are standing up. But there are also advocates for those homeowners, Stephen Brunette being one of them. But all across the country, this sort of started in southern Florida. A lot of this really came out of Florida. So we have people like April Charney and Matt Wiedner, two particularly outstanding attorneys there. And as you look across the country, there are judges, there are lawyers, there are very few senators and public officials who are really standing up. It's relatively minimal. I mean, honestly, you know, one of my questions about even making this film is, does anybody even really care? Is anybody really looking? Does anybody really notice? You know, one of the hardest things as a filmmaker is to make a film and then to try to get this film out there to the people, because I believe a film can make a huge difference. Michael Moore made some incredible films that I think really, really got people thinking, and they were incredibly successful. That would be wonderful. At the moment, this evening is a Kickstarter evening. Now, Kickstarter is an internet site, it's a website for funding creative projects. And we are raising money on using Kickstarter, and we have a couple of other strategies as well. We're actually a nonprofit as well. So tax-deductible donations are a possibility. We've done so much promotion with this Kickstarter campaign. We've got it out to so many thousands of people, and you know what? There's been very little response. And I'm wondering how many people really, really know what's going on. You know, I am so immersed in it that I think this is the biggest social justice issue of our time. Does anybody else even see it that way? I don't know.